freedom sounds real exciting until you realize uncertainty comes with it. Hey there, this is Lequita Travels. I document how small, intentional career and lifestyle decisions create freedom. So I'm headed out this morning in Da Nang, Vietnam. First stop was in Phuket, Thailand for my work from anywhere life. And now I'm at my second stop, Da Nang, Vietnam. So it's about 5:30 in the morning. It is light outside already. So this is the first day I'm actually up early enough to get up and get out for my walk when it's actually light, but then it's not beaming hot, because typically I've been getting out at like 7:30. So I wanted to kind of just talk about how freedom and uncertainty go hand in hand. So, and it's not necessarily a bad uncertainty. It's not complete stability, right? So you can be stable in the fact of knowing that, hey, I have options, I have choices, I have the resources, right? So it's kind of like you might have instability along with the uncertainty, and then you have the choices of knowing that you have like options. So you can't necessarily, at least in my opinion, have, oh my God, and the sun is actually out at the beach, so I'm walking to the beach. You can't necessarily have freedom without an uncertainty. So I think the first time it really hit me, and I'm not going to say I completely panicked, but I was definitely a bit overwhelmed, a little flustered, a little frustrated. So if you followed my video, or if you haven't followed my videos, just a little bit about me. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I sold my house in Jacksonville, Florida. I sold my car when I was doing a travel social work behavioral health contract in Salem, Oregon. And then directly from doing that behavioral health contract in Salem, Oregon, I actually came to Phuket. And Phuket was not originally on the to-do list. Like originally the plan was to go straight to Da Nang, Vietnam in the month of June. However, my travel social work contract ended earlier than anticipated. So it was like, it just didn't make sense to continue to pay rent in Salem, Oregon. So the cost of my rent in Salem, Oregon for my studio downtown and parking was roughly $1,200. And I was like, I could just take that $1,200 and pay for my first month of a stay in Phuket, Thailand. So my transition to digital nomad life happened earlier than I initially anticipated, just because that contract ended. So Phuket was not on the actual to-do list, but because it ended earlier, I'm actually in Phuket. Well, I was in Phuket first. So that's when the first piece of uncertainty happened. It was like, okay, oh my God, I have like a real freedom. I'm actually out here in these international streets. I've been on this 35-hour flight. Okay, and I want to say I had two different connections. I can't even keep up at this point, but I want to say I had two different connections. 35-hour flight, and all I wanted to do was and my flight arrived at like 7:45 in the evening. So about the time I got through immigration and all the business things that's required when you're traveling internationally, I finally made it through, got out. I had a driver that was available to pick me up. So driver was there, and then the Airbnb was about, I'm gonna say at least an hour-ish away from the airport. So finally get there, dragged my full 2 luggages, my rolling carry-on, and my backpack. Pretty much everything I own, everything I own, with the exception of a few sentimental items I had shipped to my mom's house, like my daughter's dance shoes and, you know, my gown from graduation from Florida State with my master's in social work, you know, things like that. But besides that, everything else I own is actually with me. So dragging all of that up to the room just to find little tiny ants. And at that point, it was some uncertainty. Now granted, my immediate thought was not let me, you know, go back home or anything, because where is home? I don't have a home because I sold my home, and you know, now, yeah, everything I own is in these little suitcases. So it was just like, it was the uncertainty around, okay, what am I going to do? It's in the middle of the night, driver is gone, and now I need to use like a Grab or something to get a ride. And I don't fully know how to, you know, use the Grab. And then on top of that, by now it's about 10 o'clock at night. Oh my goodness, and I left my little backpack today. I knew I was forgetting something. It was funny, I looked at the backpack and planned to pick it up, and then I did not pick it up. Oh my God, it's like really thick out here on this beach. So, wow. I did not expect it to be this crowded out on the beach this time of the morning, because I was going to put my shoes in it, but it looks like I'm going to be toting these shoes for this beach walk today. But yes, baby, it is thick, 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 thick. Okay, so back to the story. So yeah, and there's ants on the kitchen counter, and I'm like, I am definitely not about this life at all, I guess. So I then have to find somewhere else to stay, book the Grab to come, you know, grab me, pick me up, so I can actually go check into somewhere to stay for the night. Meanwhile, remembering that my Airbnb is non-refundable, so that was a different layer, because it was like, what the frick? Airbnb is non-refundable. The owner of the Airbnb is acting like it's just the norm to have ants, and they're like, oh, I just have ants in my place. And it's just kind of like, okay, that's really cute that you have ants in your place. I'm like an American who is middle class, you know, not wealthy, you know, not wealthy or rich, but I do have a stamp. So standard is the standard, and living with ants is not a norm. So their response to me just was not giving at all. It was like, yeah, I don't roll like that. So like I said, found the hotel. The Grab person came to pick me up, and the hotel wasn't far, but mind you, it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, so it's really dark. I'm in an unknown land. I'm getting a Grab from some random person who speaks Thai that won't speak English. And then, on top of all of that, get to the hotel finally. And I booked the Grab, but it was a little confusing because, you know, like in the United States, you have to have a credit card on file. Well, in Thailand, you don't. So my crazy butt was thinking like, okay, what, I was just like, oh, okay, I just booked it. Not realizing that once I officially got to my destination, the person was like, hey, you have to pay. And I was like, oh, I have to pay. Thankfully, I did get some cash while I was at the airport to pay the first driver, but I didn't have change. So, and then since it was a resort, luckily, at the hotel, they were able to just give me some change. I was able to pay the driver, but there was just so much uncertainty, so much confusion, so much frustration, so much overwhelm. It was just a lot to, to have to deal with. And then even once I checked into that resort, I might have stayed there for just a few nights, stayed at a different resort for a few other nights. And then once I stayed at that next resort, I was like, okay, I love it. This is where I'm gonna be at. And then I just stayed the remainder of May. So basically from May 2nd to, I guess, the 30th, I was actually in Phuket, Thailand, and I stayed in Rawai Beach. So I said all that to say to you, like, with freedom comes, uncertainty. And with freedom, there are also like moments where you're feeling like overwhelmed, a little, discombobulated, maybe even scared. But it doesn't mean that the mission might change. Things are still what they are. The mission is still like the mission. The mission remains the same. The freedom you desire remains the same. The flexibility, the autonomy, the creativity, all those things still remain. It's just with freedom also comes uncertainty at times, because this is something new. It's something that you're working through. It's something that you're navigating. And those are just situations, because pretty much after that, everything was pretty smooth sailing for the remainder of the month. It was just those first few days were a little, anxiety ridden. So I just want to say to you, with freedom also comes, moments of uncertainty. And that's like totally okay. Like, yeah, like it's part of the process. You're on the right track. When you have those moments, you just have to go into solutions focused mode and like work through it. So this is Lequita Travels.